Hi, babe.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Okay. So just like in our other interview, or my other interview with the kids, if you like this type of content, make sure you thumbs up our video, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you can be notified of our upcoming videos. And also, if you want to comment, if you have any questions, specifically for Stephan as the father of a blended family, leave them in the comments below, and I will respond his response. I'll type in his response, or he'll type it in himself. But let's go ahead and dig in for our first question. What is one pro and one con of being in a blended family?
Well, a pro of being in a blended family. Well, I wouldn't. I just think it's the experience. Um, it's not something that is easily described to someone who has never been in a blended family or experienced it. It's something that has to be experienced. Uh, it wasn't. It wasn't easy in the beginning, but with hard work and dedication, and it works. It does. It does work. The on the con side of it, I don't really see any negative uh, aspect of it. I just think it's what our expectations are going into a blended, you know, relationship that generally sets us up for either success or failure.
Awesome. Okay, good. Second question. How do you feel now versus then being in a blended family?
Well, back then, I think that in the beginning, uh, getting to know the child or the children is probably one of the best things to do. Um, Especially when it comes to different backgrounds, different parenting styles. I think it's important to take into consideration everybody's you know unique perspective on the family. What was the rest of the question? Oh, versus now. Okay, so now it's with the kids. They're older. We've been a blended family going on, I think, 11 years now, and I wouldn't. There's some things that I would have liked to have been a little easier to deal with when it comes to dealing with external forces on the entire relationship. But now it has basically been accepted by all parties, and um, we get to we were actually enjoying life now.
Awesome. Next question. What struggles did you encounter in the beginning of this blended family?
Well, some of the biggest struggles come from outside influences and maybe moving too fast. So, to the outside forces, not we needed to have a better understanding of where all parties are coming from and their perspective on child rearing. Uh, Having someone in your life that is their outlook is more on self rather than the children's best interest. It makes it hard. It made it hard My wife went through, well, my current wife went through a lot, dealing with outside forces and someone who was more interested in their feelings over how the kids felt and what was in their best interest. And I think that, if anything, if that was a little better, um, the entire dynamic would have been a lot more peace in the beginning. And it's still sometimes a struggle trying to get the other party to understand safety issues or concerns, especially in this day of COVID-19 and the current state of the country. And I think people going into it level-headed, it can work and it can be really satisfying and successful.
Awesome. Very good. Fourth question. How did or do you feel about co parenting?
Co-parenting. Co-parenting is it's not as bad as it sounds. It's I don't think it's any different than parenting. When I can only take my perspective on that because I lived through it. Um, d- you know, Having a stepchild and really even just saying the word stepchild is not something that I do, especially when even talking about him. He is, for all intents and purposes, he is my son. Um, it never has to be something biologic. Everyone thinks that, oh well, they're not biologically yours and blah blah blah. But when you have love for a child, or love for a child's parent, it shouldn't matter where or whose gene pool they came out of, because regardless of what it is, they're still your child. And having three biological children, and at the time it was, I had three, and then number four being um, my stepchild. I just looked at him like he was one of them, and I did my best to treat them the same. There was some things that I would try to do a little different with him, but being that I've been in his life since he was almost 3 years old, it made a big difference. The relationship, um, it got to grow as we grew, and there's things that I learned from him, and I'm hoping that he learned some things from me, as far as my work ethic and um, what I have done to take care of us as a family unit.
Okay. So, with your co parenting with your ex wife, how do you think that's gone?
Oh, it was absolutely horrible. In the beginning, I think, and that's where I touched on, when people are more concerned about their own well-being and not the well-being of the child, and not really looking at, okay, who has the ability to do better by the child and to provide for them. I think that's when we get into a tug of war situation where everybody, oh, I'm better at this and I'm better at that. Yes, all children need a mother and a father. There's things that inherently children learn from having a father figure, and to say even having an uncle or a close family friend that can mentor a male child, and the same thing when raising a female, to have someone in their life that can mentor them and show them and treat them like the kings and queens they are. I think it's really important to put aside your differences, and allow a level-headed mindset to navigate, emotions. Because there have been a lot of times, a lot of instances where level-headedness didn't rise to the top. You went down to basic instincts, and it got violent at times. Dealing with the ex, and even having police involved, and police threatened to take my life at one point. So understanding what it's about, it's about the kids, and that's priority. But I think the biggest thing is if you're rooted, with in your relationship with God. And I'm not overly religious or whatever, but I do believe that if you're rooted and you're doing things according to what God would have you do, and in line with, what His teachings are, then you can relate to people in this present time, and deal with people according to, what the Word says versus what my flesh would say. Because my flesh would say, fall off the face of the earth, jump off a bridge, I wish you would just die type stuff. But that's not what God really wants us. That's not the mindset that He wants us to have.
Awesome. Very good. Two more questions. Next question is three tips you would give on how to make a blended family work. Three.
All right. Number one, communication. And not just talking to each other, or I'm talking about communication. Everything has to be out. Everything has to be in the open. You can't have secrets. That, you know, women, all you men out there, they ain't stupid. They pick up. If they've known you for a while, they pick up on your body language. They pick up on little things you might do, little idiosyncrasies, if you understand that. Honesty, and great communication. Number two, boundaries. Identifying, who's going to do the disciplinary process, if it's going to be a joint venture or if it's going to be, either mom or dad. But having that idea already discussed, having that out in the open, so that when situations do come up, you're able to respond accordingly, and it doesn't cause any friction between mom and dad. And the third thing is to piggyback off of that. Both parents have to be foundationally set. You both can't go.
And when you say both parents, excuse me, when you say both parents, are you talking about step parent and bio parent, or both bio parents, or all parents as a
Well, I
collective?
think all parents that are involved, all parties involved, they need to come to some type of arrangement and some type of understanding. I know there's a lot of emotions that go on. I mean, two people were in a relationship that they thought that, oh man, this is it for the rest of my life, and it doesn't work. So now we're finding love from someone else, and that might be the the person you're gonna end up dying with or dying next to in your old age. So we all have to come to some type of understanding, because we all have to focus on their needs, which is the kids, and not our needs. Because in the long run, they're eventually going to move out of the house. And we need to, we as in all parents need to ensure that what we're teaching our children is the right thing. What we're showing them is the right way to cope with dealing with an outside parent, and basically uh, allowing them to feel loved from all sides, so they don't have this to ever grow up. Oh man, I wonder if my biological parent loved me. Now, in some instances, you're not going to have a parent that's involved in it, and that's fine. God put whatever the missing party is, whether it be mom or dad, God put that person in their life for a reason. And if God doesn't want someone to be in their life, then it's going to be that way. We can't force relationships on children. Sometimes they will want that relationship, and then we should allow that relationship and not turn them away from it or try to speak negatively about the other parent, because they'll grow up with certain types of resentment. Sometimes we just have to allow them to see for themselves and figure out things on their own. We can try to guide them and point them in the right direction, but in the long run and at the end of the day, they're going to be adults eventually, and they're going to have to make these hard decisions themselves. And if they want to pursue relationships with their biological parents, then it should be something that they should feel comfortable in doing, and not like, oh, it's going to hurt mom and dad's feeling if I do. It should never come to that.
Awesome. That was very good. Very good. And last question, what advice would you give the younger you from 11 years ago when we started out as a blended family?
Oh man. The younger me. Well, my thing would be, um, you know, effective communication. I should have been able to effectively communicate um, my desires for the children, and not allow their opinion to influence things that went on in my own home. Uh, so basically, I would just tell my younger self that, hey, look, it's for their best interest, and stick to that, and just um, allow things to just work out. But effectively communicating uh, my plans and what I wanted for their life, I think that would have helped out a lot. But I mean, I'm not sure. Hindsight is always 2020, and we can't go back and change the past. If that was the case, I think a lot of us would have been, investing in time travel about now. So, because there's a lot of stuff that we think about, like, wow, if I had the chance, I'd go back and change it. But looking back at it, I don't think that really there's anything that I could have done different. Possibly there are some things, but would I change some stuff? Probably not. I think I learned a lot from those experiences, the trials and errors and the fails. And so, if anybody asks me, hey, what do you think about blended family? Then I can say, hey, look, I've been there, done that. This is what we need to do. And this is what works for us. So that's about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, babe. I greatly appreciate it. You did very well with your sexy self. Woo, you fine on this here camera. But again, if you all like this type of content, please make sure you subscribe to our channel. Comment, tell your cousin, your baby mama, your stepmama, your step auntie, whoever it is, tell them about Blessed and Blended. And until next time, we'll talk to you all later. Bye.